This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
Hello, my children. Actually, that makes it sound like a cult. This is not a cult, I swear. This video is gonna be different, if you couldn't already tell. No, we aren't covering a single character in the complete 101 series fashion. Instead, Grandpappy Bip is gonna be covering the newest game mode in Dead by Daylight, 2v8. For this whole 2v8 video, I've decided to invite a special guest, because I have no friends. This is Snippin. He will be helping me with the video, and also playing as the other killer in most of the clips. He sounds like me, he looks like me, he acts like me, and he'll probably be the one censoring this video, so if you hear him, that's him. He will also be helping me by covering half of the content in this video. Say hi, Snippin. Hi, Snippin. Oh, you little... Oh, I can't stay mad at you. This game mode is extremely fun, and I'm stoked that it will become a permanent addition to Dead by Daylight in the near future. Yes, some people still don't understand this after it has been stated multiple times that it will eventually be a permanent game mode, but that's what you get for checking the comment section on Dead by Daylight's Instagram posts. So, to reiterate, it is a limited game mode for now. This is essentially them testing the waters and seeing first impressions as they continue to add more killers to the roster of this mode. It will be leaving on August 8th and returning at some point as a permanent addition. Now that that is out of the way, welcome to 2v8. Let's start with a brief history lesson. Dead by Daylight has had the same gameplay cycle for the entirety of its years on the market. 4 survivors, 1 killer. Survivors do 5 generators to power exit gates and escape. Killer kills survivors. That's how it's been since the dawn of time. However, only recently behavior had started introducing game modifiers, separate game modes that don't necessarily alter the gameplay loop too much, but instead modify the game's attributes to create a somewhat newer and unique experience. Lights Out saw more spooky and immersive games, stripping both sides of any loadout, removing the terror radius on killers and scratch marks on survivors, and shrouding the map in a thick black fog so that you could only see a short distance in front of you. My Little Oni saw comically small survivors and a Godzilla-sized Oni, putting an emphasis on a shorter trial that was mainly played for the laughs, and for the foot fetishists out there. Lastly, there was Chaos Shuffle. Why it isn't a permanent game mode baffles me to this day. Probably the most well-received and highest requested mode to be made permanent of the batch, Chaos Shuffle saw regular games with the twist that your 4 perks were chosen at random for both sides. It didn't shake up the gameplay loop at all. However, it was much more chill and casual, seeing players experimenting with perks they wouldn't have ever touched for the greater part of their playtime. And that's where it ended. Behavior shook up the typical DBD game a few times for a limited time, and that was it. It left players wanting more. And then 2v8 was announced. And here it is. Since it's going to be permanent and subject to some change in the future, I thought I'd cover this game mode's rules and differences to better explain what to expect. So, let's do just that. 2v8 obviously shakes up the regular gameplay loop by adding an extra killer and double the survivors to the mix, focusing on faster paced action. For this mode, survivors will need to complete 8 of 13 generators to power 3 exit gates around the map. Because of the higher traffic of people, the maps have been supersized to better suit the mode. Killers can see each other's aura in white at all times and will spawn together. Aww, so cute. Killers cannot pick up downed survivors, since doing so would call forth a flash mob of body blockers or a firing squad of flashlights. Instead of picking up and hooking survivors, killers can stomp on them and send them to a knockoff Pyramid Head cage called the Cage of Corruption, that acts as a normal hook, killing them on their 3rd visit. Similarly to Pyramid Head's cage though, the caged survivor will teleport away if you stay close to them for too long. Generators that get completed will reveal the aura of survivors who haven't been caged yet, giving you more flexibility on who you chase and kill. On top of this, if 2 survivors are left, 3 hatches spawn instead of 1, but if a survivor escapes through one, it will close, acting as a one-time use. Last thing to note, generally about the mode, is that survivors and killers can't bring perks, add-ons, items, and offerings. They are instead replaced with a completely unique set of skills depending on which side you're playing. Let's start with the more familiar of the two, the killer side. Killers are given an unnaturally large nerf in this mode, being the 20+ minute queue times. Other than that, playing as a killer in this mode is so fun it hurts sometimes. It's that or internal bleeding. Unfortunately for all, only 5 of the original characters are available to play in this mode currently, as each killer's power comes with a unique set of buffs and skills that are specifically adjusted to better accommodate to the chaos and teamwork that is this goddamn mode. Language. The available killers are the Trapper, the Wraith, the Hillbilly, the Nurse, and the Huntress. I will be going over what each of them does in this mode and how they play versus how they would in vanilla Dead by Daylight. To start off, each killer comes with 4 skills. One unique team skill that benefits your partnered killer by using your power in some way, one unique innate skill that buffs your base power to better suit the increased number of prey, and 2 killer skills that are shared amongst all of the killers in this mode, and are just kinda there by default. Before getting into killer specifics, let me tell you about the 2 default killer skills. No matter which killer you pick, these 2 stay the same and benefit you as a team based on how general they are. These 2 killer skills don't have names, so I'll just refer to them as Can I Play 2? And Nowhere to Hide on Crack. Can I Play 2 just reveals the aura of a survivor you start a chase with for 5 seconds to the other killer in the trial. The name is aptly fitting because if you're close by and see the aura of the survivor, you and your killer buddy can hold hands and violently slaughter somebody as a team. Nowhere to Hide on Crack is basically what it sounds like. This skill makes it so that when you kick a generator, the aura of all survivors within 20 meters are revealed to you and your killer pal for 5 seconds. The crack part of this skill is that it also makes the generator regress at 200% of its original speed. So, by default, these 2 skills are equipped no matter what killer you play. For that reason, going forward I will only be covering the team and innate skills for each killer. Let's start with the poster child, the Trapper. The Trapper gets quite the buff in this mode to accommodate for the number of people who just snickered to themselves as they sneakily watched you place that bear trap. To start with Trapper's team skill, this allows both killers to benefit from a whopping 150% movement speed boost for 3 seconds anytime the Trapper places or resets a bear trap. Keep in mind, to get this speed boost, the killer must be within 16 meters of the trap that is being reset or placed. The Trapper will always be benefiting himself because he's obviously the one touching these traps, but the other killer will only benefit if they are somewhat close, making this alright. Now for the Trapper's innate skill, being a slew of buffs that he receives for his traps. To start things off, the Trapper cannot get his foot caught in his own traps in this mode. Thank God. On top of this, the Trapper sets up bear traps 50% faster and can hold up to 4 traps by default. He spawns in holding 4 already, and 8 bear traps spawn around the map, meaning you have a total of 12. Lastly, survivors who are unfortunate enough to get their legs snapped up in your traps take 25% longer to escape. Overall, the Trapper plays a lot more freely and aggressively compared to vanilla Dead by Daylight. The mass amount of traps and the added speed when setting up makes for great multitasking scenarios where you're constantly resetting and placing traps on the go while chasing survivors. Look at us go. Snippin', you are amazing. Oh, thank you. At first, you may feel like having 8 survivors would drive you crazy with the disarming notification, but of the games I've played, I honestly didn't notice it too much. I will say it's super satisfying when your killer buddy is in a chase and you hear that sweet, sweet trap go off. I helped! Also, having 2 killers on the map makes it a lot easier to follow up on traps if y'all are split up. Okay, that's Trapper. Moving on. Next is the Wraith, the stealthiest boy in all of the land. Wraith's team skill is in the alright category, alongside Trapper's. It makes it so that while cloaked and within 16 meters of your killer buddy, they also receive the undetectable status effect until leaving that 16 meters. In games with randoms, this feels like it wouldn't be too powerful or game altering. I certainly haven't seen it do much good, but I'd imagine if you were buddied with a friend playing a more aggressive killer, you two could run around sneakily and team up in chases. Essentially, this team skill allows the Wraith to kinda be like a little dog on a leash and follow you around and give you a buff. Wraith's innate skill gives him a 9% movement speed boost while cloaked and increases the speed of cloaking and uncloaking by 22%. You don't really play any differently compared to vanilla Dead by Daylight with the Wraith in this mode. Yeah! That's my kill snipping. What? It's mine. Overall, the Wraith probably has the least interesting unique skills, but the speed boosts do make for a more aggressive and fun hit-and-run style of slaughtering. Up next is the Hillbilly, who receives some buffs and a pretty hefty nerf. Hillbilly's team skill is quite interesting, and I'd imagine pretty helpful if you communicate effectively with your killer friend. During a chainsaw sprint, survivors within 10 meters of your sprint are given the exposed status effect until your sprint ends. This means that as long as you're chainsaw sprinting still, survivors who get hit with a basic attack from the other killer are down instantly if healthy and, well, within 10 meters of you when you zoom by. This kinda makes the Hillbilly into a drive-by kinda killer. If he can hold the sprint long enough for the other killer to hit someone, it's pretty good. However, that's only for the duration of your sprint. So you better hope there's no obstacles in your path, or else you just look like you got shy and ran away. The Hillbilly's innate skill is a buff to his chainsaw and a nerf to his chainsaw. Basically, it increases your turn rate by 44% during your chainsaw sprint and decreases the time you're stunned for when colliding with something by 12%. The nerf is that your chainsaw doesn't instantly down healthy survivors. It doesn't count as 2 health states anymore when hitting somebody. It will only injure if hitting a healthy survivor. I can see why some people may not like this. I mean, the other killers so far haven't really had a nerf to their power as substantial as this. However, with just how many people you'll be finding and chasing, it seems like a much needed tweak to keep the game fair. Oh. Well, I guess you can have that one snippin'. I mean, I could have clearly got them, but no, that's fine. That's okay. Hillbilly practically plays the same as in vanilla Dead by Daylight, except for if you choose to do a drive-by so your friend can attempt an insta-down. The chainsaw still proves to be an incredibly useful mobility tool for Mr. Billy, and the bigger maps only prove how effective it is for pressuring gens and causing people to scatter like scared little fleas. The next killer is the Nurse. Somehow the killer I've seen played the least in this game mode. The Nurse's team skill allows the Nurse to gain an extra blink when within 16 meters of their killer chum. Of course, the Nurse's team skill is the only one that benefits herself. This isn't all too helpful, I've found, as again it relies on you chasing people closer to your friend when the two of you could be pressuring more of the map instead. The Nurse's innate skill is long as f***, so I will name the benefits it gives you in list form. Increases the length of your blink lunge attack by 30%, increases your reach by 30% for each consecutive blink, decreases your blink fatigue by 7%, decreases the fatigue from chain blinks by 65%, increases your movement speed by 30% during a chain blink, increases the window of your chain blink by 0.2 seconds, decreases the special attack miss cooldown by 0.5 seconds, and lastly, blinking within 1 meter of a survivor causes them to scream. Jesus. To sum it all up, it just gives the Nurse better stats. That's all you need to know. Similarly to Wraith, I don't find these changes that interesting, just buffing her usual stats. Okay, snippin'? Huh? Can you, like, not hit the people that I was about to hit, please? No! God. So annoying. My god. Another similarity with Wraith is that she doesn't play that much differently than in vanilla Dead by Daylight either. Despite being the strongest killer in the game, I don't see her played as often as other killers, and I don't blame people. Lastly, we have the Huntress, my go-to pick in this mode. She's honestly just so fun with how many survivors there are. Feels like, hey, skeet shooting. The Huntress's team skill reveals the aura of survivors you hit with your hatchets for 5 seconds to both you and your killer buddy. This is good for both sides, since if you manage to hit survivors that are further away, but closer to the other killer, they will see that location and be able to follow up on your hit. For you, it also rocks because of the fact that it's basically just a built-in glowing concoction. Your innate skill as Huntress kicks so much ass. Hey, it gives you an additional 3 hatchets, meaning you start the trial with, and can carry up to 10 hatchets at a time. On top of this, your reload time at lockers is reduced by 20%, the cooldown between hatchet throws is reduced by 20% as well, and your movement speed during your hatchet windup is increased by 5%. You are also given a 4.5% movement speed bonus when out of hatchets. While the skills aren't really the most interesting, just buffing your base stats like the other ones, they feel really good when playing as the Huntress in this mode, since you're constantly throwing hatchets and picking people off one by by one. It also feels amazing to help your killer buddy while in chase by lobbing a hatchet at the person they're chasing. If your killer buddy is somewhat close by and activates the "Can I play too?" killer skill by starting a chase with somebody, you can try and get a fun little hatchet hit and help them out with the aura. Since you're ranged, you can also cut people off extremely easily when tag teaming a chase, and hold a section down tight with your prepped hatchet in hand. Okay, that's it. I've had it. Snippin', you're stealing the spotlight, okay? This is my channel. It's called Bippin, not Snippin'. One more of those, and you're going into the shed, okay? And you're staying in the shed. As for the comparison to vanilla Dead by Daylight, you practically act as a super buffed Huntress and have several more targets to aim for. I love playing as the Huntress in this mode. It is amazing. And that's all for the killer side. I'm honestly so glad this mode exists. Playing with two killers is just so much fun. It's also such a nice change to see two killers being friendly and buddy-buddy with each other, since it's mostly one killer most of the time. It's nice to finally experience the team playing aspect as a killer. I can't wait for Behavior to keep adding killers to the roster in the future. I'm excited to see what unique team and innate skills they will think up for some of the more complicated killers. Now, for the first time in practically ever, let's switch over to the Survivor side of things. On the Survivor side, you're able to pick anyone you like, as it's purely cosmetic. What changes is instead of a team, innate, and killer skill, you can pick one of 4 classes to play as that each specialize in a certain role. These roles are the Escapist, the Guide, the Medic, and the Scout. Each Survivor class has a unique team skill, a unique aura skill, a unique innate skill, and one shared unlockable skill. The unlockable skill amongst all classes is the same, and as the name suggests, unlocks after a certain requirement. In this case, the one shared unlockable skill I'm naming Self-Soul Breakable, since I found the name funny and it's obviously a combination of the 3 perks. Well, maybe not obviously, but God, it's not rocket science, okay? Once reaching your final hook stage, you unlock the ability to self-heal yourself, as well as the ability to pick yourself up off the ground in the dying state. If you have recovered at least 25% of your recovery in the dying state all by yourself and pick yourself up, you get the endurance status effect for 20 seconds and a 10% movement speed boost for 10 seconds. I've never really seen this used, as most killers just send people to the cages the moment they down them. And I'll leave it at that. Now, for the classes. Let's start with the Escapist. As the name implies, it will be the most popular of the classes for those that just like to be chased. Your team skill makes it so that while you are sprinting, any survivor within 12 meters of you gains a 150% movement speed boost for 3 seconds. Then it goes on cooldown for 20 seconds. This is pretty nice, as it gives multiple survivors a really quick sprint burst effect if you run right next to them. Your aura skill is Windows of Opportunity. Yep. All it does is reveals the auras of windows, pallets, and breakable walls in a 32-meter radius around you. Your innate skill as the Escapist is old made for this. Yippee. It just makes you run 3% faster when injured. I don't play enough Survivor to give any opinions on these classes, so I guess I'll save that for the end. Next up, we've got the Guide, the Gen Jockey class of the team. Your team skill makes it so that when you're repairing a generator, both you and the generator have their auras revealed to the team. Your aura skill makes it so that you can see the auras of generators when within 16 meters of them. Lastly, your innate skill makes it so that your generator repair noises are reduced by 50%, as well as gives any survivor within 8 meters of you a 3% boost to their progression when they hit a great skill check on a generator. Pretty bland, I would say. Moving on, we've got the Medic class. Can you guess what they do? Your team skill reveals the aura of a survivor you are healing to the entire team. Also, survivors within 3 meters of you gain a 25% boost to their healing speed when healing others. This does not work in a chase, so the benefits are nullified if you're trying to pick up that down survivor on the other side of a loop. Your aura skill reveals the auras of survivors who are injured within 128 meters, which we will just call map-wide because that's pretty much the case. Lastly, your innate skill increases your healing speed by 35%, and that's it. That's all the Medic does. Lastly, there's the Scout class. Wait a minute, where have I seen these before? As the Scout, your team skill reveals the killer's aura to your entire team if you have line of sight of them within 64 meters. Your aura skill allows you to see the aura of killers that break pallets, breakable walls, and damage generators. Wait, isn't that just alert? Lastly, your innate skill gives you a nice built-in urban evasion, increasing your crouch to movement speed pretty significantly. This also reduces your injured noises while crouching. So yeah, back to the good old days of DBD when you used to hide when the killer was nearby, not run. And there you have it. If I was to pick a class that I would like the most, it's probably going to be the medic class, but that's only because I always gravitate towards healing classes in most games that have those. I just like the idea of helping my team out, and the medic allows me to run around and save people and heal people, so yeah. And that's gonna just about do it. I'm glad Dead by Daylight created this mode, as if I haven't expressed this enough, it's really fun. It's such a nice break from the more competitive side of natural DBD, and I can't wait to try out the new killers they add in the future. There are still a few bugs and little errors in the game, such as complete tiles not loading in, causing you to be able to walk out of the map and causing some survivors to hide in the exit gate where the killer can't go. Also, some survivors are able to fall off the map and escape, so that's interesting. I hope you enjoyed this very different take on a 101, and I also hope you're enjoying the game mode as much as I am. Thanks for watching, children of the Bip. I will see you in the next entry of the 101 series. Okay, that's it. Snippin', I've had it with you. I bring you on as a special guest, and you hog all of the glory. You see, this is why I don't have friends, because of people like you, Snippin'. People like me? I'll show you people like me. Come here, quit it, come on. No. Okay. Snippin' had to go on a bit of a business trip. He got a really good deal out in Hollywood. So you probably won't be hearing from Snippin' again. Yeah, that's the reason. He's very big and successful now, so happy hunting. Oh, yeah, and I guess surviving too.